What is up, Reagan? Thank you for joining me today. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, this is awesome. And I know that we were doing a couple of test runs with the audio today, so thank you for bearing with me through that. But Reagan, I want to start with a question I ask everyone on the podcast. What are
Mhm.
you all about right now?
Oh man, so many things. Obviously, we're in the middle of basketball season, so that's taking up the majority of my time. But obviously, Spotify Wrapped just came out recently. I had a lot of top worship artists. Jeremy Camp was up there, Phil Wickham, so I'm all about their music currently. Listening to that a lot. I'm very much a crafter, and so I have crafts that are taking over my whole room that I'm giving as Christmas gifts pretty soon. So that's been fun because I don't have anywhere to step currently because they are taking over my whole room. So, but that's always one of my favorite times of year is to make things and craft for teammates and coaches. And so that has been really fun. All about that right now. Chick-fil-A, I'm always all about when it comes to food. So don't get it as often, obviously in the middle of the season, trying to eat good so we can, perform on the court, of course. But obviously always about Chick-fil-A any day, every day, except Sundays, of course.
That was one of the best What I'm All About updates I think I've had. Podcast. That was amazing. And I'm there with you on Jeremy Camp. Absolutely love him. And I am such a craft girl. Like I love Michael's is my favorite place.
I'm a Hobby Lobby girl myself.
I was
I'm
gonna
a
say
Hobby
Michael's.
Lobby. Yeah.
So can you, without exposing maybe gifts that you're making for people, what's a craft that you're really, excited about right now?
Right now, I'm currently making blankets for all of my teammates, and so I have 11 done. So I have two more to make. They don't take very long, so I'm not too concerned. But so making that, I'm making little jar candle things. They're kind of hard to explain. Little Christmas jar candle things for my coaches. And then I'm also currently making these ornament things for a little family of kids that I hang out with a lot. So got a lot going on in Reagan's room right now.
Wow. So your gift is just gift giving, and that must be something that you love.
I do love it when I can make it with my own hands. I love ceramics. That's something I've always grown up. I love doing it. Done it for 7 years now, and so usually it's pottery that people get. But I haven't had the chance to be in the studio a ton this semester, and so I had to find a different way to give gifts out, and so this was a great way to kind of do that. So I've had so much fun doing it. That's what I love to do is make things and then give it all away because I don't want it staying in my room.
Well, I might hire you to make some gifts for me coming up here.
Perfect.
So that's pretty. You could start your own little Etsy business at this point. That's pretty impressive.
Probably could.
I love that. Well, Reagan, as a college basketball player, you don't get a lot of time off, right? You're playing through Thanksgiving, you're playing through Christmas, but when you do get to be home, what is the Beers family household like? Can you describe that?
Oh man, happy to. Oh, the Beers family. I have an older brother, a younger brother, and a younger sister. My mom had all four of us in just under 5 years, so we are all like really, really close in age, which is like super, super fun. Maybe not the most fun when you're one, two, three, and five or whatnot. So kudos to my mom for sticking that out. But as we got older, it's gotten so much fun to go back home and like be adults together and things like that, and just hang out. And so a lot of the time is just spent together playing games, obviously opening presents on Christmas, but that is the majority of the time is just spending time together because we know it's short. Because obviously I get shorter time for basketball. My dad's work schedule, never know when he's going to be home with his police work. So whenever we get the time to be together, we're going to soak it all up and just hang out, play games, relive the glory days of when we were kids and all the fun stories about people breaking their bones or late nights in the cul-de-sac or late nights at the soccer field, one of the two. So it's just really fun. My brothers are really good at storytelling and reliving those glory days. So just spending time with each other is really important. And then it turns into wrestling the majority of the time.
Oh,
So then we're on the ground, just wrestling like normal family things.
so
So
normal,
of
right?
course, of
Sisters
course.
and brothers. That's craziness. And I love how you said like relive the glory days in the cul-de-sac, the late nights in the cul-de-sac, because I can so relate to that. We lived on a cul-de-sac when I lived in Indianapolis, Indiana, and that was
Mm,
when I was in middle school. And like when you're in middle school, those are the years that you're really like outside with your neighbors. You're
mhm.
really just basking in life after school ends every day. And so
Right.
I love that you said that because I can so relate to that. And the lemonade stands we had, the cul-de-sac, the
Yes.
competitions we had, all the things.
Yes. Lemonade stands, we had a couple of those. And they always got better. And Rocky, man, my older brother, whew, he could talk you into anything. And he talked us into a lot. Lemonade stands being one of them. So, but yeah, fun times.
Need someone to be on that business marketing side when you're doing any type of
Yes.
stand. Well, Reagan,
For
I
sure.
want to talk about your career at Oklahoma because you are absolutely killing
Mm,
it, you and your team. But I want to go back just for one moment to your time at Oregon State because I saw a really cool photo of you getting your haircut, I think, on the court in like this pink jersey. And so I just want to ask what that moment was like.
mhm. Getting my hair cut with the pink jersey, that was really cool. I was actually an in the moment decision. A couple days before, I'm like, "Oh, should I cut my hair?" And I know one of my teammates was doing it. I didn't know if my hair was long enough. But I knew if they cut it, it was going to be pretty short, and I've never had short hair. It's always been long. And so it was a really cool opportunity just to give back and donate it. And obviously have AJ, one of my old teammates, there to cut her hair as well. And then once we're done, we were all in the shower and we're feeling it. And it's like weird to have it so short because we've had it long for forever. But it was such a cool moment to have your team there watching and just know that you're giving back to something to help someone else in need and that doesn't get to experience that like you get to experience it. And so that was a super cool moment, super fun. The pictures are funny because my mouth is like wide open and I'm holding it. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's a lot of hair. But it was a really fun moment. I'm glad I got to do that.
Yeah, it's so special and what a cool thing to be able to do publicly as well, right?
Mm,
Like for other people to see that. And I wasn't there, but I saw the photo and it made me kind of get a little bit emotional and how cool that is. And so I just wanted to ask you about that because I know you're no longer there and we'll get
mm,
to that. But I did want to highlight that special part of your
mm,
experience because it's not, X's and O's of the basketball, but it seemed like it
mm.
was something really important.
It was, and especially at Oregon State, and especially here, it always has been more than yourself. I mean, obviously, sports are an amazing thing, and you have such a cool platform to that with so many eyes looking on you to kind of just talk about whatever you want. With so many eyes looking on you, so many young girls and so many young boys that just want to aspire to be college athletes that look up to you, whether you think they're looking at you or not, they are, and they're looking at everything. And so it was a super cool moment to kind of like bring that together and be like these little girls maybe someday can be like, oh, she cut her hair. If she can do that, then I can donate my hair, or just something as simple as that. Or if she can do this, and I can do this. And so, as college athletes, we have that such a cool opportunity to inspire young people, and I'm so glad that I got to do that.
Mhm. Reagan, you're now at Oklahoma.
Hmm.
And that must have been a hard decision, right? To switch colleges. Had you ever been to Oklahoma before?
I had never been to Oklahoma. Nope,
So this was
no.
a kind of a leap of faith.
It was, and Oklahoma was in my top schools when I was first being recruited before I chose Oregon State. But I never took a visit. I never took a visit because of COVID hit. The year I was going to take visits, COVID happened. And so I just committed to Oregon State, and I absolutely loved it there. Loved my 2 years there. Loved the team, coaching staff, all of it. Pac-12 was super, super fun, fun conference to compete in. But I knew it was time to leave, and so that was extremely hard decision. Deciding to leave everything that I really loved and friends that I loved there. But coming to Oklahoma has been super fun. Obviously, super different than what I'm used to basketball wise. Community wise, it's just a little different too. Corvallis is such a small, like tight knit little college town. Norman's a little bigger. Smaller college town feel a little bit, but um, not so much as Corvallis where everybody knows you all the time. So, but it's been a super fun transition, hard transition, obviously. But Jenny always likes to say, "We can do hard things. We can do hard things. You can do hard things." So, on the basketball court and off. So, yeah,
My college coach would say we can do hard things all the time and repeat it
yeah,
like that. So when he said that, it just like sent me back. So it
yeah,
is true, but it is true. And that, like you said, that was a hard decision to make, even when it was
mm,
all so good, right? So I just want
mm,
to know, like, what what kind of inside you, like, how did you handle that decision? How did you really process that?
Yeah. I mean, the only answer was that I prayed through it and I trusted that the Lord was going to get me through it. And He did because He does every time, obviously. He's gotten me this far through a bunch of different things. And so it was my job to put it on Him and say, all right, this is yours. This is your burden. I struggle a lot with that, honestly, putting burdens on Him. I like to take it all for myself and say, I got it. I got it. I can do it. That independent first daughter of me likes to put it all on myself. So it was really a moment of just trusting the Lord and being like, all right, this is all you. I don't want to carry this. I know you're going to be before me and behind me and with me all the time. And so praying through it, talking to people that I trust, and know me the best and know where I'm going to thrive the best, seeking their wisdom, and obviously praying and seeking wisdom from the Lord, that this was the right decision to transfer, and then eventually decide to go to Oklahoma. So just trusting the people that I know around me who have poured into me my whole life, and who are just really strong believers and know what the Lord has for me, and then have poured into me. And then obviously my family, especially my parents, just knowing me. Obviously, I'm their daughter, so they know me the best probably. And so just trusting that, but ultimately trusting the Lord and what He had for me.
It's so cool that you said, like, I can't take on this burden. Like, I gave him the burden, he gave the Lord
Mm-hmm.
the burden, because isn't that cool? Like, isn't that like awesome that you can
Yeah.
do that and that you can say that? Because we don't want to walk around with like such heavy weights all the time
Mm-hmm.
on top of, all the things that the world is throwing to us. And it is harder than just to say it, right? Like you said,
Yeah.
I'm the first daughter, I want to take it all on myself, but I just think it's so cool how you describe that, because as believers, we have the opportunity to do
Mm-hmm.
that. We
We
have the
do.
grace, and just the strength from the Lord to do that. And it's not easy at
No.
all. But
No.
I just love how you said that, because that's not what I was expecting, how you would say what you would say. And I think that's super important for people to hear.
Yeah, and I mean, even last night I was struggling with some burdens, and I was talking to some friends that I've met here in Norman, who's the leader of FCA. So him and his wife, have kind of like, helped me through some things and some injuries since I've gotten here. And so I was talking to them about it. And even last night, they're like, "You got to give it to him. You got to give your burdens to him." And I'm like, "I know, I know." So even when it has happened in the past where I've been able to do it, it's like it's still hard now. And I think that's so cool that, like, even when you can see that when you do give your burdens to Him, it turns out good. There's a little bit more trust the next time around. Like this time around, I'm like, all right, He has worked it for good. The last time I gave it to Him, He's going to do the same this time, and so here it is. So, but it's hard because it's never ending. Then you get more burdens. You're like, oh, I want to keep them. I want to keep them, and then you're like, ah, it takes you a while to surrender. And so, just keep working at it for anybody out there.
Megan, you're preaching to me this morning. I like it. I needed this. This is so good already. And really, like, there probably a lot of those burdens have to do with your sport, right? And there's a lot
Mm,
of hard things that I think sports can teach us that really just help us get through life things. And you're
yeah,
already, you're not done with school, but you're already learning all these things. And I really just, that's what I love about athletics, is because it just really battle tests you for what you face in life,
yeah.
when you're in school, and then later when you get out of school, like me as a retired athlete now.
There you go, 100%.
Yes. Well, Reagan, I've seen you knock down some threes outside the three-point line, but I've also know that you're a post player. So I want to ask you, what's
Yeah.
your go-to? And like, this is not to like expose you on other people's scouting report. This is just like to get to know Reagan. What's your go-to move in the paint?
It probably has been for a while now, like two dribbles to the middle drop step. And I mean, I'm exposing myself, but also if you watch film, you can probably tell like I love to do that. And so that's probably one of my go-tos, either two dribbles to the middle drop step or then drop step or turn around. So I can go either way. That's what I like about it. When I get to the middle, I can go left or right, so you don't know which way I'm gonna go. So that's my go-to. But I don't think I've done that once here yet because the offense here is just a little different. And so it's more of just like position to catch score and not position to do a move, which has been interesting and a little different than what I'm used to. So it's been a fun change, but that's definitely probably my go-to move.
But you have it in your toolbox, so it's coming
It's
out.
there. It's there. It's there.
We got some big games coming up. Watch out, Reagan. Reagan's been doing the quick catch and shoot, but her moves are coming up.
Yep. They are.
I love that. I love to learn what people's like go-to move is and what they're really good
Mhm.
at, right? Because that's
Yeah.
probably something that you've practiced for years, not just like came out of nowhere. So, how long have you been working on that move?
Oh man. Well, I started playing basketball in second grade, and my dad coached me and some of my friends on a team called the Ponytail Posse. And so he coached us,
Tail
yes.
Posse? No
Yes.
way.
And I don't even remember who came up with that name. I don't know where that came from because I don't think it was dad. So maybe it was. I don't know.
I don't think it would be him either.
But anyway, we were the Ponytail Posse, and it was really fun because a lot of the girls also played softball, and we were on the same softball team together actually, and so we saw each other a lot. But I started playing in second grade. He coached me up until about fifth grade. But from the moment I knew how to pick up a basketball and start dribbling, which was around second, third grade, we were working on post moves. Because my dad knew that I was going to be a post player, and so we were working on post moves. And a drop step or a dribble drop step was one of the first ones I ever learned with him, and the footwork I ever learned from him. And I cannot tell you how many times I have repped that with him or with other coaches because it's probably been countless. So, but it started at a young age and just fell in love with it. And my dad just fed into it, kept feeding into it because it was something that I loved.
How is your dad's role now from,
Mm.
coach back then? How has that translated to your college career?
Yeah, that's a great question. He stopped coaching me about sixth grade. I say stopped, but obviously they still coach you, but they're just not on the sidelines anymore. Obviously after the game, if we talk, there's we still get coached. Parents are always doing that, especially when he played in high school and my mom played in college, basketball wise. So they both know enough to coach me, and so as I've gotten in college, it's kind of more now. He has shifted from more of a coaching to an encouraging standpoint, and that's one thing my dad does great. He is so good at encouraging. I could be having the worst game of my life and ever, and I can look up at him and he just goes like two thumbs up, biggest smile on his face. I'm having the worst game of my life, and he is just there to just be there and be a smile and be an encourager. And he is so stinking good at that. And so that's kind of he's always been like that, but he is more of that now than ever because he knows I have so many coaches, I have so many voices. I see things on the inside that maybe he doesn't see. I'm in the gym every day with the practices doing things that he doesn't see, obviously. So he's not going to say things that maybe contradict that, obviously. So, but he's like, you've been playing long enough that now I don't really need to coach you anymore. You just need to be encouraged here and there and just know that you're doing good and succeeding. Maybe at times that maybe you don't think you are. And so he's that role has kind of shifted a little bit as I've gotten older from high school to now college. But it's still an extremely important role just as a coach was.
Yeah, and just to hear like the impact that it's had on you in game, right? You're saying like I
Yeah.
keep having like that's present tense, right? Like in game and for you to be able to look up and see your parents. I know for me that was such a special part of my college career was more so
Mm,
before the game just because I wasn't lacrosse fields are big so it is harder to find your
yeah.
parents in the stands but I would always do that before the game but I love that you kind of
Mm,
explained your dad's role and how it shifted more from coach to like cheerleader because that was something
yeah.
that my dad really stressed too. He had every right because
Mm,
he played sports to coach me and know what to say and all the things but he made it like his mission not to
mm,
be the ref, not to be the coach, and
yeah.
just really to be that cheerleader. And then if we wanted, he'd give us our his one little cent in the car. And then by the way, like great
Yeah.
job, I'll take this. And then by the way,
Yeah.
in transition basketball, whatever it was
Yes.
when I was playing him.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Yeah, it was awesome. I loved it growing up, and I kind of had the best of both worlds because my dad was a post player, and then my mom was a guard, like a point guard, and so she taught me how to shoot, and then my dad taught me the post world, and so I kind of got the best of both worlds, and so thankfully now I can shots still coming along, still work to do, obviously, but it's getting better. It's getting better since I've gotten to college. And then post was like that was on my dad and the footwork and all the things that we worked on since I started playing. So it was really cool to have the best of both worlds growing up from both my parents.
Hey, your shot's there. I've seen you. I've seen you knock down some range shots. So you totally have that. And I do wonder though, you did mention how you and your siblings are very competitive and you guys
Oh
will
yeah.
rough each other up. But now, learning a little bit more about your parents, when you go home, are you guys playing pickup basketball? Are you playing pig? What's going on?
Usually when you go home, lots of the competition usually happens like in card games or board games. Especially on Christmas time when we go home, we're not outside because it's freezing or there's snow on the ground. So in the summertime, you can believe that we're probably playing some two on two if everybody is home, or playing some pig or playing or something. We are out there. But as far as going home for Christmas, it's probably just going to be all that competition in us and competitiveness is going to arise when we're playing Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza or something like that. Like we have our games that can become really aggressive, and all that competition that happens on the court or on the field comes out at the dinner table.
What was that game you just named? It was goat cheese pizza.
Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza.
Okay, I think
Yes.
I think my team played that like when we go on road trips, but I never like got in the mix. I don't know what I was doing. Maybe I was like doing treatment or something, or I didn't really understand the game. But is it a lot of screaming with a lot of cards? Is that what it is?
It's you just like flip over a card and say a word, and if the word you says matches what the card is, everyone has to hit the pile as fast as you can. And if you're the last one to hit the pile, then you have to take it. And the goal is to get rid of all your cards. So there are like special character cards where you have to do something before you lay down a card or whatever. But overall, like it's lots of slapping going on, and I mean nails being broken and people being cut. I mean, and then if someone next to you gets it, you can like shove them, and then
Oh,
it's just, oh yeah,
get feisty. Yeah.
it's physical. It's a physical sport. It's a physical game of Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza.
Man, okay, I need to experience a Beers family taco cat goat cheese pizza. I probably botched that wording, but that is now that you're saying it, that is definitely the game that my teammates would play when
Mhm.
we'd be on the road at hotels. So really cool to hear that it's made its way and other people are doing it too.
Yeah, it's so fun. Highly recommend.
Reagan, I saw a post from you
Mhm.
and it was this November and it says your caption was living an answered prayer. And there were
Mhm.
photos of basketball, your family, just Oklahoma friends. What's the
Mhm.
backstory behind this post?
I mean, oh man, through that transition from that transition period when I was in the transfer portal, obviously we talked about it. I was praying through it. I was just every day. I was like, all right, God, where are you gonna send me? Where are you gonna send me? Where am I gonna do your work? Obviously, it can be because my two choices were UConn or Oklahoma. So I visited both schools, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do your work wherever I go, regardless. And that's where that kind of stemmed from, because I'm now living answered prayer, and it was so cool. I feel like sometimes prayer is such a powerful thing, and I sometimes fail to see that. I'm going to be honest. I'm not good at reflecting and looking back and saying, wow, I prayed for this and I'm living in this now. But it was so cool, especially those pictures after that. Recently we had just played, and I had seen my family come to some games. I had really bonded with some of my teammates. I mean, everything was for the most part clicking. And so it was a moment after a game. I don't remember which game, but it was a moment I was just like, wow, I prayed for this a couple months ago. I was praying for this and I'm living it now. Like I'm getting to see my family more often because I'm closer to home. They get to come to more games. I have a great team. I have a great team that makes me laugh, that I get to be around. They're super competitive, that I get to compete with every single day. I have coaches who love me and are pouring everything into me because they want to get me ready for this season, next season, and then the WNBA. Like they are seeing me as a person. Like it was just so cool to just reflect and sit that moment and be like, I am living an answered prayer. I prayed for this and now I get to live in it because he answered it. So it was such a cool moment, and I that was one of my favorite captions. I'm not very good at Instagram captions, but I just love that one because it helped me reflect, and I was like, I'll just share it. And so hopefully it's helping others reflect too, and just take a second. You are living an answered prayer, whether you know it or not. Whether that's college athletics, whether that's with school, whatever that is, God has brought you this far, and you have probably prayed for something that you are living in right now, and that's something that you should not take for granted.
I think you're really good at Instagram captions because caption, just living an answered prayer, sparked so much curiosity out of me.
Hmm.
And how cool to hear like your story behind it. Are you kidding me? Like for you to actually have a moment to reflect on that. And I think it's so important and special what you said because if you don't do that, then kind of going back to what you said earlier, like you won't be able to realize and really think through, like, oh, look at how the Lord brought me through X, Y, and Z. Look at how
Mm,
he brought me through that situation. And if you don't reflect on what he's done for you, then you're
mm,
not going to be able, you don't have that kind of same motivation and really
mm.
like the heart to pray because
Yeah,
you probably won't believe in its power as well, right?
yeah. 100%, 100%. It was so cool to see that and be like my prayers are being answered. They have been answered and they have been answered my whole life. So I have seen it. And some people, I think it's so hard for some people because they say, "Oh, God's not answering my prayers. God is not answering my prayers." He's not answering your prayers because maybe those aren't the prayers that need to be answered. Because there are prayers deep down that we don't ever say out loud that we are just thinking that need to be answered and that he answers, and we don't realize that that comes to light. And then when they are answered, they're like, "Oh, I didn't ask for that." You did, you just didn't know you did, or you did, you just worded it differently, and he knows what's best for you, so he's going to give this answer to you. And so I think sometimes we get so caught up with, sometimes we get so specific. I know I'm like that. I get so specific in my prayers. I'm like, just answer it this specific way. He answers it a different way. And I'm like, all right, so that wasn't what I asked for. Thanks for that. But it was for the good. I mean, he works everything out for good. I don't remember the scripture of that, but he works it all for good. And in the moment, sometimes it doesn't feel like that, especially when you pray about it. And so it was just, that caption was just a really cool moment for me to see that he has worked it all for good and that I'm living something that I prayed for 4 months ago.
When you were explaining that, I don't know why, but this like image came to my mind of like, there's like Google Forms that you fill out and there's
Yes.
one with the square box is different because you can choose multiple, right? And then
Yep.
there's always
Yep.
that other line, right? And it kind
Mhm.
of feels like
Yeah.
check our boxes, say what we're specifically praying for, and then we also,
Mhm.
click the other blank. And
Yep.
it what was so important about what you just said too was like he doesn't always answer. He answers our prayers, but it might not always look
Mm.
like what we, wrote out on that Google form, whatever it
Yeah.
is. So I
I
just love,
love that. I've never thought of it that way. That's amazing. I love that.
well, I just was thinking that when you were talking, so I didn't think of that.
Tag team.
Yes, yes, we'll be the brainstorm team if anybody needs some good analogies out here. Reagan, do you have a favorite memory just so far in your short time in Oklahoma?
Mm. Oh wow. Man, a lot has happened since June. Um, ooh, I think honestly one of my favorite memories so far, we have started recently. I thought it was a good idea to kind of individually meet with teammates every single week. And so every week you have a buddy, right? And so the first week that we did this little buddy system, my buddy was Peyton Verhol. I'm rooming with her, but we haven't had like a lot of one-on-one conversations. We just had kind of a group setting, and Peyton and I are very different in some aspects, and that's what honestly make us a great team. Um, and so, but there were just certain things that we weren't not that we weren't clicking on the court. There are just some things that we like were butting heads about in the best way. Like we're competitors, it's going to happen. But we worked some things out and talked about all these different things during that little buddy. We got coffee in the morning. I don't drink coffee, but I got hot chocolate from Dutch Bros instead. But that morning it was like an hour before a practice or something that we were hanging out. And it was just such a cool moment because in that moment, like I had thought that I was not doing too much right. Like I was kind of messing some things up coming here because obviously this is not a new team. Like I'm the only new person with two freshmen. And so they had 11 people that came back and that had been in the system a really long time. So there was a party that was just like, I'm messing so many things up because I'm a low post and I'm kind of messing some things up because they did not play with the low post last year. So now we can't figure things out, and I'm sorry. I don't want that to happen. I'm just trying to do my job. And so we were talking a little bit about that, and she was just kind of like giving me some reassurance of like, no, we want you here because we want to win. We need you. And so and then I kind of like fed back into her of like, well, I'm thankful for your leadership. And so it was just like a super cool moment between me and Peyton to kind of like feed into, like encourage each other a little bit, feed into each other when maybe I didn't feel like I was doing everything that I needed to be doing for the team to succeed, and things like that. And so that has been probably one of my favorite moments just with an individual teammate. There have been plenty in the locker room where my teammates are having me laughing so hard as I'm sitting in my locker room on my phone and they say something and I'm like, no way. And then I burst like what are we even talking about? And so it's just those moments are always so fun. But this moment was so much more intimate and like just a cool connecting moment for me and Peyton that I absolutely loved. And she might not even think that, but I just loved it. And it was a super cool moment to just connect and be like, all right, we got this. We're gonna be good. I'm doing what I need to do. I'm doing what I came here to do, even if it seems like I'm messing it up currently. So
No, thank you so much for sharing that because I know how hard that is, like when you're in the
mm,
thick of it, right? And you said Peyton might not even believe that that's as big of a situation as it was to me. And I think that is just so cool. And really, too, how you started that, you were like, this, but we're competitors. Like we might be, butting heads in certain ways, or I, feel a little insecure about, being the newbie in a sense,
mhm,
but like we're competitors, so it's normal. So like, and I think that's something that people in today's world, and especially young kids and young athletes, we kind of get
mm,
a little soft in the sense of like competition
mm,
and like this is big time
mm,
sports. Like you are playing big
yeah,
time basketball. So like if you want to do that, it should be competitive. Look at any pro
yep,
athlete, look at any pro sport, like face it. And what you did is like you're not facing it and you're not like physically going at it on the court. Like, yeah,
mm,
that is
yeah,
already what you're doing. But you're like, let's go get coffee and hot chocolate. Right? Like
yes, yeah,
going and you're being vulnerable with your teammates, and that's what is so dangerous. Like that I think
yep,
what was so telling about my college experience as well is like we had intentional time to have like one-on-one conversations, 3v3
mm,
conversations with your position group, with your,
mm,
girls your age, who you are living with, to just really
mm,
break down like this is what I'm facing, this is what I'm struggling with, and that's really how you get better every day because
mm,
you can't hold on to that. You really can't if you want to get through the next practice without holding on to all that. Like it's not you don't want to have that hanging over your head. So thank you for sharing that and that's just really cool how much of an impact that had on you.
mm. Yeah, I'm happy to share. It was a really cool moment, and I'm glad we got to do that. And so now we have our little buddy system now. So I think this week is Raina. So I'm actually meeting with her I think later today. So just continuing to build those relationships, especially with someone new, that's important to me because I like to know my teammates and like to know how I can encourage them or something like that, or just hang out with them, get to know a little bit more. Because I didn't get that chance, like everybody else, to be here for so many years to do that. So, but it was a really cool moment that I got to share with her. So,
I love that. One of the other photos in that swipe that I mentioned
mhm.
earlier with the living and answered prayer, it seemed like you guys were in a weight room, but then I saw like worship music on the ceiling, on like a screen. Where was that?
So that was an FCA event, so the Fellowship of Christian Athletes meetings here on Thursday nights. And I'm on the lead team, and I got on the lead team when I first got here, which was super cool that I got plugged into that so quick. Um, but that we go to the football weight room to do that on Thursday nights, and so that was one of the nights that they had worship, and so it was super cool. And those lyrics that night, like I just need to hear them. Sometimes God has a way of doing that, and He just plays a song or has a verse for you that you're like, "Oh, I needed that, and I didn't even think I did, but now you have me almost to tears." I'm like, "Oh my goodness, I needed that." So it was just a cool. I just love that picture because again, I that was a big prayer for me when I was in the transfer portal was I need to go somewhere and I would love to find community. And I had a community at Oregon State called Real Life that I loved, and I went to some of my teammates and some friends, knew some people, and I loved it. And so I'm like, I want to have something similar to that when I go to Oklahoma. So I pray for that. I'm like, I love, as believers, fellowship is super, super important. And it's super, super hard to be isolated um, from other believers when you are one. And so I was like, it's going to be really important when I go there to find a community. And so that kind of swipe was like, all right, I pray for this. I pray for this FCA community, these other believers that are also athletes that I get to go through life with for the next 2 years and be like, hey, I'm really struggling with this. Or I was actually talking to the FCA leader last night. I mean, and I was like, hey, I'm really struggling with this. Can you, can I have some wisdom here? And so just people around you that know what you're going through or have been through what you're going through, whether that's injuries or with your sport, we were all in a similar boat. And so it was super, super cool. Those words are from one of those worship nights at FCA. But another answered prayer that I'm continuing to live in is just finding that community of believers that I can surround myself with and go through this year and the next year of college with. It's super, super important. So that's kind of the story behind that one.
Well, it's really admirable, a lot of things about what you just
Yeah.
said, but like just first how you're so open and like wanting to like go to someone older than you, go to your leader, hey,
Mm,
I need wisdom. Like I'm struggling with this, like pour into me, right? And then also
yeah.
like you're saying this is something that I prayed for, and I bet there are a lot of times when you probably have a paper, you got homework, you got
Mm,
came back late from a road trip, and you're like, man, like we maybe made a Wednesday night game and now it's Thursday night and you just want to go to bed, right?
yes.
Like
Yeah.
this is something that you said, I want this,
Mm,
and also like I had it at Oregon, I want this in my college experience. And so that's going to
mhm,
probably propel you to show up and have that community
mm,
and really when things get hard, who you're able to lean on. So I absolutely love
yeah.
that. And I'm happy for you that you have that
Thank
at
you.
Oklahoma and I'm excited. I want to check it out and learn more. But I think the whole just the setting of it being in the
Mm,
football weight room, like it just shows you like you might not have like a room for FCA or a room
mhm,
for athletes in action. I was at UConn earlier this fall. They were doing their meetings in the lobby of like an athletic, the lobby, okay?
mm,
So it's like
mm.
you can make a space. Like it does not have to be have a plaque on the wall. Make a space. Oklahoma's doing this in their weight room. I love that. Let's get
Yes.
great. Like so cool.
Yes.
So
And I
just
think it's so cool, especially in a time I feel like sometimes we put so much, we put like all the lights and flashiness of whether that be church or whether that be we have to promote like yes, as believers it is our job to share the gospel and do that and promote, yes. But there are also times it's okay to be like, hey, we're meeting in the lock like in the weight room. Like we don't gotta have a big flashy sign for FCA, like we don't do this, we don't have to do this. That gives us the opportunity to, that puts it on us to be like, hey, invite other people. So to be like, hey, come to FCA, like, and they can be like, oh, I didn't see that. I'm like, oh yeah, it's on Instagram. That's okay. I'm telling you now. Like, it honestly gives us the opportunity as leaders and other FCA members to go out and share that with other people, and share that experience and in that time, that community that we love so much, and share that and invite other people. And so I feel like sometimes it's so hard because we put all this flashiness. It has to look cool. It has to feel good. It has to feel. It really doesn't. In the Bible, it talks about how church is not a building. We all know that it's people, and so it's the same thing with FCA. FCA isn't a building; it's a people. It's a group of people that come together, get to know the Lord, and can pour into each other when they need it most. And so it's just super cool, and it's a great place to be in, great group of people to be around, and I'm glad I got plugged in so quick.
hey, FCA is gonna hire you to give your little marketing spiel for them. That was good. I want to come. I want to come out to Oklahoma just for that. And I know you guys got some solid people on that campus. We talked to Riley
Mm,
Boone, who graduated from there earlier this year,
yeah.
and it is really cool to see what's going on. And now that they have you, not only just there, but a leader there is
Mm,
truly incredible. And so I'm going to be cheering you on through not only just basketball, but your
mm,
leadership there with FCA. So, Raegan, I
thank
know
you.
you're in the thick of your season and you got a lot going on. And today you probably don't have as much basketball, but I'd love to just ask you one more question.
Yeah.
Before games, pregame, do you wear headphones or no headphones?
I typically don't wear headphones. I listen to one song, That's Who I Praise by Brandon Lake on the car ride, and I time it so I pull in as the song is finishing to the gym. So I have it timed down now. So I start it, and so I can pull in as the song ends, and I'm parked, and it ends, and then I walk in the door. But I don't wear that. Kind of like sets me in the mood before I walk in the gym. But once I get in there, I don't wear headphones, and I know that's really weird. I know that's like as an athlete, I feel like that's super weird, but it just gives me time to like take in all my surroundings and take in all my teammates and take in the environment that I'm in the training room or in the locker room, whatever that may be. Super cool time. So I get my praising done and my worshiping done in the car ride on the way before I step into the locker room.
It's not weird. I've had a few people say that they don't wear headphones either. So you are not alone, even though it might
Okay.
feel like it. But I love that, like just like picturing you in the car, like moment you step out, boom, the music ends. It's like a music video, kind of.
Kind of, yeah. And I'm still singing it. Like I'm walking in the court, like singing it to myself. Like it's just in my head, and that's what I end it on, and that's what I take onto the court. Jenny's really all about like what be intentional about what you bring onto the court, and so that song is what I take onto the court usually every single day. So it's awesome.
What are you taking onto the court? Boom. Episode title, Raegan Beers. This was such an awesome, just way to meet you, number one. So hopefully I can come catch a game at some point or meet you in person at some point. But this was truly just awesome for me to get to talk to you and for you to share this wisdom with me. I know a lot of times it feels like a podcast and I'm doing the interviewing, but like truly, I am so lucky that I get to do this because I get to just hear wisdom and people like speak great things to me. And I get to hear this before anybody else. That's a fun thing
Yeah.
about being the host. And so I feel very spoiled, truly, and just
Mm.
lucky to have had this conversation. But we will be cheering on your basketball team this season, and good luck with everything.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me, and good luck with all the podcast things. It's amazing what you're doing. So I really appreciate you taking time to talk to me and hear me.